Welcome back to Salam Media. It is 33 minutes past 7 this evening. I'm your host, Thaakir Dawood, and I'm going to be taking you through all the way until 9 o'clock this evening. Yes, we're joined by Sifiso Mazibuko, a cricketing journalist and a great in his own kind, in his own right. We're going to be chatting all things CSA awards. Shabnam Ismail and Anrich Nokia walked away with the highest accolades at the CSA awards. They walked away with the men's and the women's Cricketer of the Year titles in their respective categories on Monday evening. To chat to us a bit more about this evening, I'm joined by Sifiso Mazibuko. Hey Fiso, thanks so much for taking the time out of your evening to chat a bit more about your second love, cricket.
Yeah, no, absolute pleasure, man. It's good to be on Southern Media once again. It's an exciting time. Obviously, with all the domestic changes that are coming, CSA awards, the tours of West Indies as well as Ireland. I think it's a good time to be a South African cricket fan. Hopefully, we can put all the drama that has happened behind us, and the boys and the ladies can do the talking on the field, and really produce the goods in the coming months.
No, definitely. It's been quite an interesting season, ridden by COVID, so many other challenges that they faced. But I mean, Anrich Nokia walking away with the Cricketer of the Year award. Sum that up real quick.
What a season Anna had. A great guy. A guy who just gets on with his life. I was out in India with him when he made his debut, and it was truly special to watch him operate balls with good heat. And like I said, just one of the good guys in cricket. And for me, was really great to see him doing well and continuing to grow. Obviously, having lost the likes of Dale Steyn, Kyle Everts, Morne Morkel, a whole lot of fast bowlers over the past few years. You felt that without Kagiso Rabada, maybe we lacked a bit of zip, a bit of pace to really make us a force on the international circuit. And a player like Anrich Nokia, who not only did it for South Africa, but also who did it for the Delhi Capitals in the Indian Premier League, he continues to put up his hand. And again, I emphasize the point. There's no substitute for raw pace at any level of the game. And pace always causes problems regardless of what kind of batsman you are.
No, definitely. And talking about pace, we take it now from the men's side of things to the women's side of things. Shabnam Ismail walking away with the Women's Cricketer of the Year title. I mean, she walked away with quite a few titles on the evening, but just looking at her performances that got her to win this title. Your take on it?
Can I be biased? I'm going to be biased because Shabnam Ismail is my favorite cricketer. I really enjoy the way she plays the game. She's got that fire in the belly. She's always fired up, always in batsmen's faces. And she's produced the goods year in and year out. And I'm happy that finally she gets the kind of recognition that she got this time. I always felt that at times we don't quite value her as much as we should and in terms of South African cricket as a whole. But what a player, what a performer. And hats off to Shabnam. Hats off to the women's team in its entirety, because they really did some amazing things, not only against Pakistan at home, but also out in India. What a performance, what a season. And we're praying that they can continue to grow, and hopefully come the next major tournament, they can really be a force.
Definitely. Talking of major tournaments, South Africa is looking to bring back silverware later on this year when they do embark on the journey to the T20 World Cup. But first up, we've got South Africa taking on the West Indies over in West Indies. South Africa in recent times haven't had the most success at home or away. What's your take on this going forward? Do they just take the success of this award ceremony and the good positive spirits from there and take it with them on tour and keep that spirit within the camp?
Look, you've got to try and be positive. You've got to try and find, the silver lining in any kind of situation. And the South African men's team, they'll go out to the West Indies knowing that the pressure's on. They know that their performances haven't been what they would have wanted. There'll be a lot of disappointment there. And the one thing I always drive home is the fact that, athletes, as much as, we expect so much from them, they also expect the same from themselves. They are
mm,
hard on themselves in terms of performances, and when they lose, they probably hurt more than we do at home. And at times we forget that element. There's not a single player within that South African camp that is not aware of how things have gone. I had a chat with Dean Elgar a short while ago, and the one thing he promised is that, look, they're gonna go out there and give their best. It's
mm,
sport at the end of the day, and it's a team sport, especially, which means that you need in the perfect world, you go out there and you put up your hand and you do well as an
mm,
individual, but you also need the other players to come to the party. You need the opposition to perhaps give you opportunities. It's a beautiful thing, team sports, because at the end of the day, you're not always in control of everything. So when it comes together, and when all that hard work really comes to the fore, it's even more beautiful, because you know that it
mm.
takes a lot to go out there and win a test match, and to win any kind of match on the international circuit, and especially in the professional ranks.
No, definitely. And I think getting momentum out of the series, let's say that we do positively get one over the Windies and then go on, definitely put South Africa on a favorable footing heading into the World Cup. Is there any players that you'd possibly want to look at and the rest of South Africa should be looking at specifically in the store that should be putting their hands up to be regulars in the Protea team?
I think there's going to be a big microscope on the batting units, especially. You look at guys like Keegan Peterson. You look at a guy like Kyle Verreynne, who is an absolutely incredible player, in my opinion. You look at those kind of guys. You're thinking, okay, Faf du Plessis is gone. You're thinking, do they get an opportunity? Do they get an opportunity to get a solid run within the side? A player like a Quinton de Kock. How does he answer, having obviously led the side and perhaps not enjoyed it as much, in terms
Mm,
of obviously test match cricket? And there'll be a spotlight on a batsman like Temba Bavuma. There always seems to be a spotlight on Temba, and we've seen a player like Aiden Markram slowly but surely starting to realize the immense potential has. And you almost felt that at some stage there was a slight mental block there, because I tell you what, whenever I've watched him play in the domestic circuit, he's just head and shoulders above the rest in all
mm,
formats. Like, that guy can really play. So again, it's just about whether or not we can realize the type of quality that we do have. It's there. Rassi van der Dussen extremely consistent in terms of how he plays. I know some people worry about, does he switch the gears quickly enough, or is he too slow? And again, a person who kind of looks at test match cricket, they think, well, he's not slow, it's test cricket. That's not always
mm,
the case, because there are times where you've got to up the ante, you've got to change the game, and you've got to be able to apply pressure on the bowler, regardless of whatever format it is. It doesn't mean because it's test match cricket that you just block. So there has been those question marks around that, but for me personally, I love the way Rassi approaches the game. I love the way he plays. Also, great
mm,
human being. So there is a microscope. Who comes in? Which players get opportunities with the Willow? And of course, that's probably been our biggest issues, that we haven't gotten big runs on the board, and we've been found
mm,
wanting in that specific department. From a bowling perspective, I'm really interested to see how they go with the bowling options. Obviously, you look at how they've selected the team. They've got quite a few spinners involved. I think obviously that goes down to the surfaces, whatever's out there.
mm,
George Linder, a player who's been really good, newcomer of the year. He is some cricketer, George Linder, old school, just hard work. That's what it is for him. And then you look at a Keshav Maharaj, for me, the best spinner in the country by, I don't want to say by a mile. I don't want to be, I guess, say anything bad about the other guys. But we've got some really good operators out there.
mm,
A player that I'm really keen to see, if he gets a chance, is a Pranelian Subrian, um, former SN19 captain, a really really good off spinner, good attacking off spinner. And we saw in the 4-day domestic series in South Africa, he single-handedly almost bowled the Dolphins to, I guess, that title, against the Titans. And throughout the season, throughout the past few seasons, he's put up his hand for the Dolphins. He's been a leader for them. So there's a lot of good components he brings to the group. And I'm
mm,
excited to see, I think we all are as cricketing fans, as South African fans. Whenever there's someone kind of new, even if we do follow domestic cricket, you're keen to see them in those national colours. You're keen to see, do they sink or do they swim?
That's the interesting about sport. Do you sink or do you swim? There's always going to be that factor. And I mean, what would sport be without winning or losing? I mean, come on. Sifiso Mazibuko, thanks so much for your time this evening. You gave us some great insight into what's currently happening in the cricketing world and what we can expect from the Proteas team when they do tour to West Indies. Thanks so much. I'm not going to keep you up any further. Hope you have a great evening and a great weekend further.
Thank you, Thaakir.
Always a pleasure. That was Sifiso Mazibuko giving us some insight on the CSA Awards and also what's happening on the cricketing front. So the Proteas traveling to the West Indies. Some interesting decisions out there. Sifiso was giving us insight into what choices do the coaches make on the surfaces that will be available to us in the West Indies, and also how can the momentum from this tournament take us, or let's say the series, take us into the T20 World Cup coming up later this year. Quite an interesting one. And stay tuned to Salam Media, as we'll be keeping you up to date on a weekly basis, and obviously going forward, what we can expect in this tournament and the build up to it. It's going to be quite interesting, quite intense. Just showing us exactly why we love Protea cricket and why we've got that Protea fire burning within us. Well, it is coming down to 7:45, and I'm going to go to a quick break. When I do come back, we're going to be chatting all things rowing. Quite interesting enough. We're going to be chatting to Thaakir Dawood, who rowed all the way from Cape Town to Rio. He's going to tell us a bit about his journey, what the purpose was for, and how the journey exactly went. So stay tuned to Salam Media. We're going to go to a quick break. When we do come back, we're going to be chatting to Thaakir Dawood.